And here we go. We do recommend and listen a little closer tonight. It's a personal story of our guest speaker. He's been part of the gatherings on Sunday nights, and he is actively involved in the Spiritualist First Church of Truth in Grand Rapids. And we do welcome a nice offering by Chuck Roberts tonight. He allows us to take a look within ourselves as he shares his experiences, and he's actively involved with the Spiritualist Church as a recorder of the videos that you can check out on the Facebook page of the First Church of Truth at the Spiritualist Church. And also his offering as a guest speaker. I gave a listen to it this morning of his August presentation on light and dark. It was very enlightening, and hopefully he ties that in with his negative dark patterns, energies, and experiences of his life from before to the positive and light that he has illuminated himself with now. As he shares his incredible healing experience from 2019, it's my healing experiences with Chuck Roberts.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for having me today. Are you ready to hear the story of what happened? This is, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on myself, on what happened and why it kind of blew my mind so much. I'm actually a pretty logical person. I'm a computer programmer. So I've had all kinds of paranormal and spiritual experiences happen to me all throughout my life. And I think that these were hints to tell me that there's more to life than the physical world. And I think it was trying to tell me that there's a spiritual world out there. And for this Hamed Bey reading that Laura Joy just read, that listen to your inner self, or listen to your creator, or listen to your guide, your intuition, whatever word you want to call it. I had failed to do that for the longest time in this life, and that's why I was getting these really, really obvious things happening to me. It was a reminder to tell me that these things are out there. And not all of my experiences were positive. They were mostly positive, 95% positive. I had one negative experience, and that was just to serve, I think, as a warning to tell me just to be careful when dealing with these things, which is reasonable enough. If your teacher is going to teach you something, they got to teach you safety. That just makes logical sense. So for the longest time, I was very angry at God, and I separated myself from God for a long time, for many years, because I was very angry and frustrated with the things that had happened to me as a child. And what I ended up learning was that I had to get back in touch with the Creator. And when I reached a point that I was ready to heal, I started praying, and I started saying, I'm ready to heal. And I'm from this childhood stuff that went on, and I kept praying over and over and over. And it got to a point where events were set in motion that I was able to get the healing that I needed, because I was not getting healing in any other way that I tried. I had tried various methods of meditating and just relaxing and trying to let things go. But it appears that this is an issue which was, for lack of a better phrase, it was stuck in me. I was stuck and I needed external help. And so it was around, 2010 or 2012 that I started doing more things and actually seeing more ghosts and talking to them. And I decided, well, wow, how can I do this? I don't understand this. But it must be, other people can do it. I believe that, but why can I do it? And I really struggled with that. And I went to see a person who was a medium who would channel another entity. And I asked this entity, why me? Why can I do this? What did I deserve to do this? And the entity just said, why not you? And that simple answer encompassed a whole multiple meanings for me and helped explain a lot. And I'm like, holy smokes, I have been the worst person, the hardest person on myself for most of my life. And why not me? Why not? And so I just started going with the flow and letting these things happen and getting in touch with my intuition. And you could say I got in touch with my oversoul. And let me explain what I call the oversoul. When your soul is created by God, your soul, this is what I believe, your soul is split off as a piece of energy from God. So what that means, this explains when people say you are of God and God is in you, but God is also around you because maybe the universe is God also. And when you're born in a body, your oversoul cannot fit in the physical body. It would explode, and that would be messy. And so just part of your oversoul goes into your body, but part of the deal of coming to Earth is that you cannot remember your past lives and you are disconnected from your oversoul, which is also called your subconscious sometimes, or your higher self. Now, some people do have a link back to their higher self, and they can be able to talk to it and get advice from it. And I wanted to be able to do that. So eventually, we set up a time to go see my sister in South Carolina. And we went down there, and on our way down there, we were taking 2 planes. There's 2 flights involved. And I got both planes had mechanical problems, and I was really, really sick. And I had to get a second round of antibiotics for my illness. And I got them on a Thursday, and we were due to get on the plane Friday morning. So I got those antibiotics in the nick of time. We got on the plane, and both planes we had mechanical problems. And it was almost like something was trying to stop me from going where I was supposed to go. But we ended up getting there anyway. And we got down there. It was really great to see my sister. And we actually went on, on a Monday, we went to this mine. And now this is going to fit in with the whole healing experience. And I want to explain to you how all these pieces are set up beforehand by the creator to make sure you get what you need. And if you're paying attention, you can see how complex this chain of events can get. Okay. So we went to this mine. We were looking for what's the purple stone? The purple quartz. The purple stone. Anyway.
Amethyst.
And we didn't find any of that, but what's that? Amethyst.
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 Yeah,
Amethyst.
amethyst is purple quartz. We didn't find any. It was all just scraped over, and people knew it was a good amethyst mine, and they got all the amethyst. Well, I found this one rock. It was very unassuming, but I was drawn to it, and it had these little sparkles in it. And the mine also had rocks with mica in it. So I think those sparkles were pieces of mica. And I just thought I'd bring it home, and I washed it off. It was brown, a little bit sparkly, not very impressive at all from the outside. Now, you don't judge a book by its cover. So we were able to get an appointment with my sister's friend, my sister's name is Jen. Her friend's name is Susan. And Susan is a cranial sacral healer, and she's very busy, and it's very hard to get an appointment with her. But for some reason, we got an appointment with her on Tuesday, and we just went to the mine on Monday. And so we were very excited to have this opportunity, and I was very ready for this. So I got up Tuesday morning and I'm getting ready, and something told me to meditate with this brown sparkly stone. So my sister has a meditation room, and she's a Reiki master, and she actually got me into Reiki. So I'm meditating with this brown stone, and in my mind I can see these gold sparkles going from the stone up into my arms. And I thought, well, boy, that's really weird. What does that mean? And I just got the phrase anchor points in my mind. I'm like, I don't know what an anchor point is. I'm kind of new at this. I'm actually learning a lot very fast for the past few years. So I'm not familiar with what an anchor point is. And I told my sister, she said, just, wow, that sounds neat. And I don't think she really knew what it meant either. So anyway, we went to Susan's house, and hold on a minute. Went to Susan's house, and I was very excited. And she has a massage table that people would lay on. And so her and Jen, I told my sister, I want you to assist on this. And I got a message that said you have to learn You have to assist on this because you have to learn something from it. And Jen said, okay. And I was very happy that she could assist. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no idea. So they had me lay down on this massage table, and then Jen and Susan go off in the corner. I hear them talking, and I hear him talking. I'm like, okay, if he flops around and falls on the floor, just leave him there, and we'll finish the session with him on the floor. I'm like, oh, okay, that'll be exciting. I thought, wow, how exciting is this going to get? Because and so they start, and I just close my eyes, try to relax and clear my mind. And Susan starts moving her hands over my side. Now, I already knew I had on my side, I had this black blob of energy that was stuck there, and it would not come out no matter what I did. And she immediately found that spot as soon as she started scanning me with her hands. And she said, here we go. Is this what you're talking about? I said, yep, that's it. And so she keeps like scanning me with her side, and she finds a little other blobs up near my heart too. So that's near the heart chakra as well, because I had some heart chakra issues where when I was young, I was 5 years old, and this is very relevant. My parents got a divorce, and I didn't blame myself, but I was crying uncontrollably for about 5 days. And the only way I could stop crying was to close off my heart. So that's what I did. And that was a terrible mistake that I did. But I did learn from it. So that was a learning experience that I had to have on my path. So Susan starts moving her hands up towards my head, and she's doing something. And I feel even more relaxed at this time. And I start to see something right away. I see it's my past from my past life. I was a man named John in Ireland, and it was time of World War II. And I see my wife from the past life, whose name is Matilda. And I start to see Matilda in my mind. And Susan asked me, "Tell me what you see." And I'm like, I'm seeing my wife, Matilda, from my past life. And Matilda just says, "Hello, John." And I said, "Hello." And she says, It's time to get rid of this all. And if you don't, I try to do her best Irish accent. And if you don't, I have to persuade her. She holds up a frying pan. And I just kind of laugh. She says, it's time to let all of this bad energy go, all this stuff that you hold on to. And I said, you're right. And I started crying. And we started talking. Her and I started talking. I'm trying to tell Susan and Jen what we're saying. And even Susan got in on it and told me that what happened was in World War II, I went out to fight for my country in the UK. And on my first mission out, we were ambushed and I was killed. And I was shot up the side. And in this life, I have moles where the bullets had hit me in that last life. It's right up my side. It's very interesting. And so when I was killed, I was very, very frustrated. I knew that I was dying. And I lay there on the battlefield and I died there. And Matilda was telling Susan how she was very frustrated because times in the UK and Ireland got very, very tough. They had all kinds of limits on food and things and other things, well, just about everything that you needed for every day. And it was very, very tough. And she was angry at me for dying for a while, but she talked about how she forgave me. And I just said, well, I'm sorry. I just got killed on my first real mission out there. I didn't know what else to do because I was dead. And we talked a bit more. And I said, I know I have this energy stuck in me. I don't know how to get rid of it. And at that moment, she says, we're going to have some help today. And I saw in my mind these two angels, one at the foot of the table, one at the head. And they were very tall. And they didn't say a word. They just put their wings over me to make like a safe cocoon. And they just started giving me all this intense love energy. And I was overwhelmed. And I started crying it out and letting go of all this. And I tried to use their love to get rid of all that blackness. It was like a tar inside of my energy body. And I saw the tar lifting out in like little bubbles and moving away from me up into the sky, well, into the ceiling. And I saw these sparkles in my arms from that rock. The sparkles would jump from my arms into these little bubbles of tar and convert them into this gold light. And then they'd go up and disappear and I wouldn't see them anymore. And I was just kind of memorized and really surprised by all of this. And I have never heard of anything like this anymore in all my research. And here it is happening to me. So I was kind of pretty baffled, I guess. I wasn't scared. And I'm trying to tell them, then I hear Susan say to Jen, come over here. And she's over by my head. And Susan says, feel his head. And I hear my sister say, oh my gosh. She puts her hand over my head. And what was happening was this really intense energy was shooting out of my head from the angels. And it must have been going through my crown chakra, is what I guess. It was just flowing through me really, really hard. And I knew that I was breathing faster and harder, and I was kind of hyperventilating a little bit. So finally I heard Susan say, okay, we're going to imagine you have a dial on the side of your head, and we're going to turn it down. We're going to get in a whole lot of energy now, and you're going to turn it down. And so I imagine that down. I start turning it down a little bit. And I said, thank you to the angels. And they just nodded to me and they disappeared. And I said, wow, I felt really intense love like nothing I've ever felt before. And they both, Susan and Jen, said, yes, I know, we could feel it too. And my sister said, I saw one of the angels there. And I was like, wow, it's nice to have some confirmation. And finally, I saw in my mind the side. I was in my bedroom when I was 5 years old from this life. And I was there with 5-year-old John. So it's 5-year-old me and 5-year-old John in my old 5-year-old bedroom a long time ago. And my room has bunk beds. And John said, oh, what is that? Why is there a bed on top of the other one? I said, well, that's a bunk bed. You can get on the top bunk bed. So he hops on the bunk bed. He's really happy. And I give him my favorite teddy bear to hold. Here, you can hold this while you're here. And in one wall of this old bedroom, I see a portal open up. And beyond it, I see a path and green grass and a few flowers and a few trees. And there's a figure. There's a figure walking towards us, towards the portal. And it's Jesus. And he says, hello, I'm here to take these away. I'm here to take your pain away, meaning 5-year-old John and 5-year-old me. And I said out loud, hi, Jesus. I didn't know what else to say. I'm trying to tell my sister what's going on. And I'm trying to keep him updated on what's going on. And I just blurt out, hi, Jesus. And Jesus just holds out his hands, and I'm an observer. And I'm watching 5-year-old me and 5-year-old John. They take Jesus' hands. And I knew this was when he was taking the pain away now. Because the pain happened to me when I was 5. And some other things happened to John when he was 5. And they went and they walked along the path through the portal. And Jesus looked back and said, you can always call me if you need help, and I will be there. And I just said, thank you. And I saw the portal close. And then the vision of my old bedroom faded away. And I came back to the present, and I started to tell everybody, I think it's done. And I tried to fill in some details for them and said, this is done now. I feel a lot better. And I started laughing uncontrollably because the energy the angels gave me was still flowing through me. It filled me, and it just made me laugh from pure joy. And all I was feeling was pure joy. And then we kind of started talking about what happened. We're still at Susan's house. We're talking about what happened, and those gold sparkles light up in my arms again. And I see some more gold sparkles coming down from the air, going back into my arms. I said, Susan, I see these gold sparkles going into my arms. What are they? She says, she thinks a minute. I think she's talking to someone, and she says, they're anchor points that'll help you to anchor whatever needs anchoring. I said, okay, that's what I'm getting too. And so we finally left Susan's house, and I was kept laughing. I could barely talk. I was laughing so much. And my sister's driving us home, and my sister's just a little making sure I'm okay. She said, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm great. I'm just overwhelmed with joy. And I just keep laughing. And the laughing slowly subsides over the next 4 or 5 hours. And so after a couple hours, I'm able to talk, but then I'll just start up laughing again for no reason. And it was just like these waves of joy kept hitting me. And I just, for some reason, I knew the angels were still helping me. They started a process, and they were still helping me. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know what to expect. And that was fantastic. It was the most amazing, mind-blowing experience. And I don't use the word amazing very often, but this really was amazing. It was just, wow. And I would encourage people, if you need help, to pray for help and look for openings. Openings will be presented to you for you to get help, for you to get healing. And it may be presented to you in ways that you're not familiar with, or in ways that you just don't understand. So try to be open-minded, because a closed mind will not let in good ideas, and you're just limiting yourself with a closed mind. So I wanted to thank everybody for listening today. And if you have questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And I hope this was an enlightening experience. I hope it was an interesting story. And it sure was a trip for me, I got to tell you. One of the best experiences I ever had. It was the most intense experience, but it was intensely joyful. And I just needed an intense joy injection, I guess, to get me out of this rut. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Chuck, for being open to sharing that heartfelt, real experience for you, and to put yourself out there, and so we can grow from it as well and see what you went through. And how has your life changed since this has all happened? And this is 2019. It was mentioned in the notes that I saw on the Spiritualist Church website. So it's been a few years now. How things have changed for you?
That was 2019, and after that, I was guided to the church in end of 2020, I think October 2020. So about a year after that. So this happened in 2019, October. In October 2020, I was looking for a church where I could further develop as a spiritual person, and that's when my wife actually found this church for me. I didn't know, I had completely forgotten about spiritualism and what it was. I only knew it in the context of what it was in Victorian times. I didn't know there were spiritualist churches, and my wife found it. She said, and me and my sister are have a lot of experiences as well. And when we say this is all woo-woo, we're not making fun of it. We're just baffled that we can do the stuff that we can do. we don't know what else to call it. So we just call it the woo-woo as a kind of a lighthearted attempt at humor to kind of deal with the bafflement, I guess, because we thought we were not worthy. And then I had this healing experience, and then I finally got it through my heart that, yes, I am worthy. You are worthy, and everyone is worthy of this. You just have to reach out and ask for what you need. Okay? How has my life changed? It's gotten a lot better. I'm a lot calmer, a lot more content.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining and expanding. Go ahead, Lori. Please
I'm
do.
sorry. That was a wonderful story, Chuck. I really appreciate it. I got a call from my a neighbor or friend that lives a couple miles down the street, and she's got a dead mouse in her kitchen, and she's freaking out. Okay, I got to leave now because I got to go get the mouse out of her kitchen.
Okay.
Some people just can't handle a dead mouse. Okay.
Lori to the rescue. Just put on some gloves. It's not alive.
Thank you.
Hi, Lori.
Bye, Lori.
Bye.
Bye.
Chuck, if I may,
Sure.
would you advocate for the concept that you can't heal what you don't feel?
Oh, yes. Because when those angels were giving me all that love, what came out was not the frustration. What came out was the love that I didn't know I had. It was the love that I didn't know I deserved.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to tell me. They're trying to tell me, this is what you deserve because you're God's child. You're God's creation. I thought, yeah, I needed a big conk on the head to get it through my head. Thank you.
So the experience initially taught you to forget that you are love, innocence, and goodness. And then that healing, you came back to the remembrance of the truth. Yeah.
Yes.
And if I may, there's about 4 or 5 years ago now, finally, the medical community came up with a diagnosis called the sad or broken heart syndrome, and how we emotionally wall off our heart for protection and defense, and how that can lead to a whole bunch of other stuff. And so that the fact that you kind of illustrated that you could really feel the heart, that chakra opening up again, that was a big part of your catalyst to coming back to that love and that innocence and that goodness. So, yeah.
That's exactly
Wonderful
what
story.
happened. They opened my heart chakra really wide
Mhm.
just to get it through my head, to make sure I remembered that I am worthy of that love and everybody is worthy of that love. And you just have to reach out for it. Say, I'm ready to heal.
Good for-
I love how you stated it, Chuck, when you said, we often say, well, I had to get it through my head, but when you said, I had it through my heart.
I had understood it in my head. I didn't understand it in my heart. And that's the healing
Yeah.
I needed the most.
Because the communication actually goes, we know now that it goes this way. That the heart is actually the true brains of the outfit. And when you open this back up, it gives better communication and impulses to the brain. And then the brain makes better choices and behaviors and such. So, yeah.
So I'm a
So-
big student of psychology. And after the divorce, after I shut off my heart, I had big problems, big emotional problems of getting close to people. I couldn't get close to people.
Yeah.
And I had this, for a couple of years, I had this thing called, I think it's called the flat affect, where I was emotionally flat. No highs and no lows, just flat.
Right.
And it was a terrible, terrible thing that it was my choice, and I take responsibility for that. It was a terrible choice that I made. I didn't know what else to do, and neither did my parents.
It's fairly common, believe it or not, but yeah. So,
I'd believe it.
kudos to you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I did it. Totally glad. I'm glad I've been listening to my intuition. I've been listening to the Creator. I've been listening to the things around me, and I've been following my path that God has for me. I'm not mad at God anymore. I'm grateful for my learning experiences. They were really tough, but in my case, they had to be tough because I'm stubborn. And I understand that. I accept that as a part of me. I'm stubborn. They had to be extreme experiences. They had to be extremely difficult, extremely hurtful, and extremely healing and obvious. It was like a frying pan right to the heart to wake me up. Now I'm a real boy. It's like the Pinocchio story. Now he's a real boy.
Mm.
It's almost like the Pinocchio story is a story of healing. Any other questions or comments or anything?
Yeah, Chuck, you mentioned that you were disillusioned with God in general before this all awakened for you and opened up and the healing began. How did you feel? Was it just a negativity towards the world and everything, or what emotions did you have? What physical feelings did you have?
I think what I had was I was very frustrated with God. I thought that why would a loving God make such hardship on such a young child like this, where it would torment them for a lifetime? So you got to understand the context here that I was without joy for 45 years. That's a long time to be without any joy. I could fake it pretty well, but I was actually without joy for 45 years. And what it was, I came to the realization the only logical thing, now this is where my logic helped me. My logical thinking told me this was something I had to go through to learn something. And I believe we all have to go through things to learn something. And that's how I finally got back in touch with God. Was I forgive God and I forgave myself for I admitted I made some bad choices, but I'm grateful for the learning experience as well. And I thank God very, very much. And I don't know how else to put it.
You put it very well.
Chuck, I really appreciate you telling the story. At times we have experiences in life that we go through, it changes our life, and then you and people like you will have the courage to go into the world and share it. And that information that you gave us was life-changing. It can happen to Chuck, it can happen to us. If we want,
it can happen to you, and all you have to do is ask.
Exactly right. And you are a prototype. And there's some people here also, and you know who you are, that you've gone through the same thing. So I was just thrilled with your presentation. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much for the kind words. And if I'm able to help just one person today, I would be very happy. I would be very, very happy. And if they would, if someday they share with me, hey, you really helped me when you gave that talk, I would be extremely joyful.
I can tell you right now that you have helped me too. So it has given me a lift within myself, even though I've gone through a lot of experiences like that. And a lot of times I feel like I've already accomplished so much, but just hearing your story and feeling my response to it, I know that there's even further that I can go, and I've taken at least one step there.
I'm glad to hear it, Alan. Very, very glad to hear that. Very happy for you. I want everyone that I know to feel, I want them to know in their heart that you all deserve all the love in the universe, all of the love that can fit through you and go through your heart. I want you to feel it body and soul, because you deserve that. When you say that you don't deserve it, you're not loving yourself. You're not being kind to yourself. You should learn to love yourself and be kind to yourself. Tell yourself that you do deserve it despite your being imperfect. You were created to be imperfect. Therefore, God does not make mistakes, and you are perfect in your imperfections. So it's time to accept that in your mind and in your heart.
Well, too, Chuck, you were damaged or hurt. There was a big shift when you were 5 years old, and you carried that hurt and pain with you through your life. And if we don't run into the right people, they can validate the same feelings you had. You know, if you're lucky to meet loving, kind people, you might have awakened sooner. But for some reason, nobody validated that you were lovable, or you understand what I mean?
Yes, I know that. Part of the problem was my mom loved me a lot. In fact, I would say she loved me too much. So I got to the point where I just didn't believe her anymore. She overdid it.
Mm,
But I did eventually run into people who were trying to help me in their own ways. I ran into a couple of people. One of them was in college, and she really started me on the path to healing. She was very patient. She had a lot of patience for me, and I'm very grateful for her help. And I've run into other people who've helped me heal, like my wife now. She's played a big part in my healing, and I'm very grateful for that.
good.
Great story,
Yeah,
Chuck.
go ahead.
This is Pete Willie. I really appreciate you talking about your experiences. Really helped me too. Thanks so much for enlightening me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That makes me really happy. I hope you get better too, Pete.
Your story. Can you hear me?
Sure can, Rose.
Yep, go ahead, Rose.
Your story reminds me of the words that I heard, you are never alone. And that was so comforting to me. And if you ever think you are alone, you just call on the spirits around you and you will feel them. So your story just reminded me of that.
Yeah, one of the reasons I was angry with God was there were numerous times when we didn't have enough food to eat and we were very hungry. And I prayed for food and food never seemed to come. And I thought, well, why are my prayers being ignored? Then later on in life, I thought maybe that was a lesson I was supposed to learn to increase my independence. Hard to say for sure, but I've dealt with it. I'm happy with the results.
I would just like to say that Chuck has become quite a wonderful Reiki healer too. So it's not only that he's had this experience, but he's able to share it now with so many other people, other life forms, and we'll just leave it at that. He's very, very good.
Yes, I was told to share this experience by my spirit guides, or maybe it was my higher self. I'm still trying to figure out the difference between the two.
Mhm.
And that's probably what prompted me to find the church, or my wife found the church for me, the Spiritualist Church. And then eventually I connected with the Coptic Center, and then things worked out where I could share this with people. So maybe this is going to be a critical story for someone here, or even for one of your friends. Maybe you're going to share the story and they're going to go find healing and find that joy and find that connection to God. And it was really nice experience, very positive. I can't guarantee it's going to be that intense for you. You're probably not as stubborn as I am, but that's what I needed, was the conk on the head. That I needed not one angel, but two. They're like, oh, here's Chuck. We're going to need two angels for this.
I shared with Chuck at one time, we both have sons with the name of Trevor. And when my son Trevor was at home, I'd say, well, some people learn hard and some people learn harder. And he's taken that to heart and has said many times, it really fits. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Life can be a learning experience as long as you don't try to stop your kids from having that learning experience. They really need that experience. They need the chance to fall down and make a mistake and learn from that. And love doesn't mean protecting your kids from every little bad experience. It means being there for them when they fall down. You can help pick them back up so they can learn how to pick themselves back up.
Another great tidbit of advice, and thank you, Chuck. Thank you, everyone, for asking the great questions too. I think we all received a nice gift from you and a blessing, and helped us all on our path. So we're grateful for having you join us tonight, and And thank you with our open hearts to you.